Right. Shabbos, I was away. It was a special Shabbos for the family. It was my father's 70th birthday. So the family got together. They rented a place in Morristown, and we all spent Shabbos with my parents. So my father brought with him a whole bunch of things, letters from the Rebbe that he had from over the years. He asked me to read one of the letters. The Rebbe had a thing that he used to write like what was called a michtav kloli proti. He used to write a letter that he would say it was Yud Beis Tamuz. That was my father's Yom HaLedes is close to Yud Beis Tamuz. He was in Shlichus that year, and he wrote a letter to the Rebbe asking for a bracha. So the Rebbe had a letter that he would write, a message in honor of Yud Beis Tamuz. Maybe they'd made 50 copies of that letter, 100 copies of that letter. And then the Rebbe would instruct us to add the name. Sometimes the Rebbe used to add, with his pen, he used to, like in this letter, the Rebbe add the kesher, l'yom, hiladetcha, the brocha. There's a few words with his pen the Rebbe would add. There's an administrator across the street in Turo College. I forgot his name now. Saw him the other day driving into the parking lot. So he smiles and he waves. No. So he stopped me when I came here to Flatbush to tell me that he was connected to Lubavitch, and he learned in Lubavitch when they were... No, nothing. I did. So he said he used to write to the Rebbe letters always, and it was ever a simcha in the family. He decided at one point, he learned the whole Torah Vadas. He decided at one point to go back to the yeshiva, and he wanted to get the bechina because he was missing a bechina, to get a bechina and to get smicha. So he got his last bechina and he got smicha. The next letter he sent to Rebbe was an invitation for his daughter's wedding. So it was a standard letter that the Rebbe used to send l'kavod chosen kala, right? With blessing the chosen kala was the Rebbe sent it for years, that nusach. And then the top it was written like the mosquitoes typed out to Mr. Forget his name, so and so. And the Rebbe signed it, and the Rebbe added on the top of his name, Harav. After all the letters he got all the years, the Rebbe never added anything Harav. And this was a short time after he got his final bechina and he got his smicha in Torah Vadas. And this guy says he doesn't think that the Rebbe had a connection over there, that they send him a report who got the first bechina, the last bechina, who got... The Rebbe added this word, Harav. Wow. So the Rebbe used to add sometimes a few nekudas to the letter. So this letter the Rebbe writes about Yud Beis Tamuz. The Rebbe says that we have to learn the story, read the story, and learn the story of Yud Beis Tamuz and take a lesson in Avodas Hashem. What can we take from the overarching thing in the story? Is the Friedrich about Mesiras Nefesh, Pashat. He knew they're going to try Rachmana litzlan the worst, and it turned out that was true. They tried Rachmana litzlan to do the worst to him. Not only they tortured him, he was tried to put in the film, they threw him down on the staircase. Then they had a thing that buckled, that broke into and tore into his flesh, and they had incredible yisurim afterwards. But they simply wanted to do away with him. Later, when he was called into the office, before he was sent away for exile, he bent over the table and he saw that the first thing was they tried to Rachmana litzlan. Just one bullet, and then it said "niet." Their hands were tied because the higher ups told them they can't do it.
Because the Americans were pushing on.
Yeah, so the Alter Rebbe was to be in jail. The Friedrich Rebbe, more than all the Rabbeim, Poshet had incredible yisurim. So what can we learn from this Mesiras Nefesh? Today, it's not required. So this says, the Rebbe says in the letter, there is in Mesiras Harotzen. To give away to the Eibishter our will. We don't have agendas. Our agenda in life is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. What do we want in life? What do we want to achieve? What do we want to do with this week? What do we do with this summer? It's a beautiful summer now in the year 2018. What do we want to accomplish? A vacation, we want to go away, we want to do this. What do the Rebbeinu Shalom wants? What does the Rebbeinu Shalom want me to accomplish this summer? That's called Mesiras Harotzen. I don't have my own agenda. I have no agenda at all. I'm just trying to figure out what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from me. That's what I want to do. That's Mesiras Nefesh. That's the lesson we could learn from the story of Yud Beis Tamuz. Another lesson in the Sikha, the Rebbe says that we see that the Frierdiker Rebbe writes in his Rishima, he writes that from when he was arrested, he made a strong resolution in his mind that he will make it clear that he is a free person. In the jail, they try to crush you. He said he's going to talk only in Yiddish. And there's a few stories that Frierdiker Rebbe said. They asked him if he knows where he is. So he said yes, he knows exactly where he is. The Frierdiker Rebbe said that there is a place. There's every room needs to have a mezuzah, but there's some places in the world that don't need a mezuzah, like a bathroom, for example. So in other words, Frierdiker Rebbe showed a strength, and to the extent when they told the Frierdiker Rebbe he was free to go, so he inquired when are we going, where are we going? They said they're going to Kastrama, everything is arranged. How do you want to go? So he said, I'd like to go first class. How are you going to pay for it? He said, well, if the money you took away from me when you arrested me is not enough, go to my family and request that they should pay for the balance for the first class ticket. But when will I arrive? So they said, what's important? I want to know when I'll arrive. So it turned out that he would arrive there on Shabbos, which was definitely permissible to get out of a place which is Sakonas Nefoshes. Frierdiker Rebbe said, no, I'm staying in jail. I'm not going out of jail. I'm staying. It was a big tumult. It was unheard of. I'm staying in jail. But there was nothing they could do. Frierdiker Rebbe stayed in jail till after Shabbos. And that's when the Frierdiker Rebbe felt, in other words, that this was a stand to take. And the Rebbe spoke about it many times, that even though it was Pekuach Nefesh, there was definitely no question it was permissible. The Frierdiker Rebbe felt that if he's going to travel on Shabbos, yeah, what was that? So the Frierdiker Rebbe goes on to the train, and right before he leaves Petersburg to be sent to exile, he says a famous sikha, a few sentences, where he says that we did not willingly go into Golus, and not with our power will we rebuild the Beis Hamikdash and have the redemption. The Eibishter sent us into Golus, and the Eibishter will take us out. All the nations of the world must know that as long as we're in Golus, it's only our body that's in Golus. Our neshama never went into Golus. We are totally free. Our spirit is totally free, and no one has the right to tell us how to act when it comes to issues of neshama. So the Frierdiker Rebbe showed that he's a free man. The Rebbe says that from this we learn a lesson. What's the bottom line lesson of Avodas Hashem? Everyone wants to be free. Comes a summer on vacation, to be free, right? But the shaila is, when are we really free? The Pirkei Avos tells us when we're really free. When a person is really a ben choden. But definitely, when we follow the dictates of the Yetzer Hara, we're not a ben choden. We're not a free. We're a slave to the Yetzer Hara. We're a slave. So to be free, is a big deal. It's not an easy thing. A person could think that I'm free, but a person could be the biggest slave in the world. A person thinks he's free, in his mind he's free, but he's not. He's a slave.
And also the people that he's part of, like he has children, family. You cannot be saying I do certain things in a certain way, and then you have other people that will be involved in it. So you can't be.
He's schlepping them also into jail if he's with his Yetzer Hara. If he's in jail with his Yetzer Hara, he's schlepping his whole family with him. So Mamela from the Frierdiker Rebbe shows us that even a Yid, the Eibishter made should be Bechira Chavshis. Because that, otherwise, why are we living here? There has to be a Bechira Chavshis, a freedom of choice. But a Yid has to prove himself to be from the Am Chochem Anovan. How do I prove that I'm a wise person? How do I prove to myself that I'm wise? And I kick the Yetzer Hara, and I'm free, and I allow that my neshama should express itself and to be a free person. Just like the Frierdiker Rebbe, who was they tried to physically and mentally torment him. Frierdiker Rebbe showed when it comes to the neshama, The neshama is not in galus. The neshama is free. Some things we can't control. How much money we make, we don't control that. That is beyond our control. That me and you don't decide that. We can work very hard and we can put in a lot of machshavas. There's all kinds of things in this world we don't control. But our neshama, we control. We decide if we're going to be a ben chodim, if we're free, or we are in servitude to our Yetzer Hara. It's up to us. And this morning someone was telling me about the Zayda. He said that his grandmother said they were in Poland, and just a few stories he knew about the Zayda. And then they were used to come into the house, they were talking, he used to give a crack at the table and say, Lushan Hura! Lushan Hura! He didn't want to hear any Lushan Hura. That's what he heard from his grandmother. Saying, like there's so many, there were Kehilas of Yidden, they lived a beautiful life. What do we know? Because Nebuch, they were decimated. But what we do know is, when we ever imagine, what did our ancestors look like? What did a Yid, if we had an Elta Baba that came from Krakow, or an Elta Zayda that came from Vilna, or you had an Elta Zayda that came from Minsk, and if you had an Elta Baba that came from Tunisia, well, what do you think they look like? A nice white beard. If she's a woman, Mistama, she wore a sheitel or a tichel, right? What do you imagine? What kind of tziyah did they have? What kind of tziyah did they have? Dr. the Frierdiker Rebbe, a lot of the stories he brings to life what stories they heard from his grandmother, great grandmother, what the old, what the Jewish life looked like. There was this guy Jacobson, Geshem Ber from the Allgemeine Journal. There was a Yiddishist, a writer, that he used to bring people to the Rebbe. This fellow was not very religious at all, not religious at all. So, but he became, like close to the Rebbe, captured by the Rebbe's warmth. So he wrote a book, The Klois and the Gas. Like Klois means Beis Medrash, and the Gas is what he came from Vilna. So in this book he describes what Vilna of his childhood looked like. So the Klois and the Gas, how the Klois looked and how the street looked in Vilna when he was a child. So it was a book written in Yiddish, and he wrote a beautiful introduction to the Rebbe, saying, I feel so close, I'm the light of the Lubavitcher Rebbe who guides even a man like me who walks in the darkness. The Rebbe writes back a letter in Yiddish. The Rebbe says, I saw your book and it's really nice, a nice literary piece, yada yada. The Rebbe says, how can you write that you're walking in darkness? If you can so vividly describe what Vilna looked like as a child, so if Vilna is alive to you, this was Vilna. If Vilna is alive to you, how could you be walking in darkness? The Rebbe used to say a lot of times that we say that sometimes we say to ourselves that we're just being deceptive. We're not so frum. We think that Yetzer Hara plays a game with us. No, we're being deceptive. We're making as if we're. But the Rebbe says the opposite. The opposite is true. The neshama, when it's born, is that there's a light, and the malach teaches a Torah. So in the neshama, whenever we satisfy the neshama is happy. So it's fakir. We're being untruthful when we allow ourselves to be slaves to the Yetzer Hara. So the big lesson that we take is to be true to our roots, to be true to ourselves, to be true to our neshama, to be Eilacha ben Chorin Elami, that we should be a true free person, just like the Frierdiker Rebbe. When the circumstances didn't look like he was a very free person, he made a stand that he's free. We have to make a stand that we're free. L'chaim, l'chaim.
the beams?
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Schnell.
What's that?
Like animals.
Why wasn't that? Without video. We were learning it about this lately in the Yud Beis Tamuz about pumpkin seeds. Oh, it's pouring outside. Wow. Wow.
Farbrengen, ja.
David, you see Gishmei Bracha. It's like Gishmei Bracha. L'chaim, l'chaim. Ein did it, ay, ay, ay. Ein did it, ay, 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 L'chaim, l'chaim. L'chaim, l'chaim. One of the stories that Rebbe told, I think the story was told more than once by the Rebbe himself. There was the right hand to the Tsar. He was a Soini Yisrael. Not only was he a Soini Yisrael, but the guy had no human feelings. This guy was as cruel as you can imagine. He was behind organizing the pogroms. When the Rebbe told the story, he said that this fellow really, even though the Tsar was officially the king, this is the interior minister, even though he was the interior minister, wasn't the king, but they said that really he runs the show. Because Yesh Omrim that the Tsar was not that smart, and Yesh Omrim that he wasn't smart altogether. and this guy ran the show. So there was once
That
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. So the Rebbe said that there was a story once that the Rebbe Rashab called in his son, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he said that he hears that there's a pending Gzeira against the Yidden. There was two issues. One had to do with the Rabbonim, and one had to do with Chinuch. And he said, I'd like you to go to Petersburg and work on the issue. So the Frierdiker Rebbe asked, how long should I be in Petersburg? Biz Mesiris Nefesh. Those were the words of the Rebbe Rashab. Literally means until you be killed. So the Frierdiker Rebbe took it seriously. When his father said Biz Mesiris Nefesh, in his mind it was like this is a biggie. And when he came to Petersburg, he tried from all sides, little connections, big connections, but he saw that there was nothing that could be done. This at Soini Yisrael, these two projects were already on his desk. All the details were worked out, and there's no one that could help. I mean, this is already sitting on his desk, and it's just machuser chsima. It just needs to be stamped, and that's it. It's law. It's Russian law. But then he realized that when his father told him Ad Kedei Mesiris Nefesh, that the Take means Kipshutei Ad Kedei Mesiris Nefesh. He found out that this interior minister had a mentor who is a very devout goy, and even though he's a Soini Yisrael, but he has incredible respect for the men of cloth. And being the son of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he thought that he might have some clout. This guy agreed to see him. He became very friendly with this, even though this guy was a Soini Yisrael. So after befriending this guy, so he tells him, "Look, I have this issue that there is two pending laws that are going to come out that are very negative, and I'd like to reverse them. But what can I do?" So the guy says, "Look, what can I tell you? There's nothing you can do. But I have my respect to you. This is what I'll do for you. The Interior Ministry, I have a pass to go in whenever I want. It's like having a pass to go into the White House or the Pentagon. I have a pass to go whenever I want. I guess there were no photo IDs in those days. He says, here, this is yours. But if you're caught, I don't know you." So the Frierdiker Rebbe thanked him, and Frierdiker Rebbe went straight to the Interior Ministry building. He was young. The Rebbe doesn't say age in the story. So he comes there, and the guard looks at a Yid with a beard. A Yid was not allowed to live in Petersburg. There was such sunniness at all. A Jew is not allowed to live in Petersburg.
He probably told you about it.
So exactly. So, but the pass was there. It was valid. He checked it again. It was valid. So he had no choice. He let the Frierdiker Rebbe in. Frierdiker Rebbe didn't know. But where is the office of the Interior Minister herself? It's like a huge building. It's like, think about you walking to the Pentagon. You're looking for Mr. Pompeo's office. Who give him in the office? So there isn't like a directory. It's not a business building. You have the directory at the first floor. So he started walking up and down for blunging. He said "Snishkin told." So he saw someone walking there. He stopped the person again. Sakonis Nefashis. A Jew in Petersburg is illegal. Draying in the Interior Ministry building. So where's the office of the Interior Minister? It's on the 4th floor, the last office. That was already a nest. So the Frierdiker Rebbe goes up on the 4th floor, and he gets up on the top. As he walks up to the top step, he sees that the door of that office opens up, and he sees that Soini Yisrael himself walking out of his office going somewhere. So he waited till the interior minister was out of sight, and he walks into his office. Now the clock is ticking. You have to find the needle in a haystack. He wants to find these 2 stacks of papers that, there's no backup and files on the computer here. Everything is done by paper and pen. So he's just trying to find these two stacks of papers. And he sees that there's piles and piles of stuff, but he noticed that there was a pile and there were 2 stamps. Law, in-laws, and what are the other ones? Outlaws. So there was a stamp, like da and yet, like yes and no. This is in-law, this is out. And he saw that there were 2 piles. Okay, but now he has to find this, his 2, and the time is ticking. And every moment, the door can open. The interior minister walks in. It's like Mr. Putin walking into his office, and the Yidela is coming through rummaging through his drawers, looking for peanuts. It's like unheard of. And the Friedrich Rebbe is looking and looking and looking and looking, and he found these 2 stacks of papers. And he took his stamps that said "niet," out of law. And he went and he had stamp, put the other one stamp, and he put it into the pile that this is out. And then he disappeared from the building. And no one stopped him on the way in, no one stopped him on the way out. And he went back to this old mentor of this interior ministry, Russia. He gave him back the pass, and he went back to Lubavitch, his father, to tell him that it was successful, mission accomplished. The Rebbe says that this was mamish mesiras nefesh, and it wasn't an issue which was life and death for a Jew, and it wasn't one of the 3 mitzvahs of Yehorig Bal Yavin. And the Rebbe, one of the times the Rebbe himself told the story. The Rebbe said that there's an interesting story in Tanakh. There's a story in Tanakh where Bathsheba finds out that her son Shlomo, which seemingly should be, he's the heir apparent from David HaMelech, and Adoniyo is trying to take over the kingdom de facto. He's trying to crown himself king. So she goes, he speaks to her, she goes to the king, and she speaks to him, v'chulu v'chulu. And David HaMelech says that, the mother of Shlomo HaMelech, Bathsheba. So Bathsheba goes and talks to David HaMelech. You promised me my son is going to be the king. He said, oh, for sure. She says, but Adoniyo went and he got all the big people of the government to come with him, and he crowned himself a king. David HaMelech says, never mind. He said, called, and Nosnavi comes and he says, I want Shlomo to be crowned today as king. You should be anointed as king, and you should announce. And he was then 12 years old. And we should, that's what Chazal say, you should announce Yechi HaMelech Shlomo. The question is, we know the Gemara tells us in Shabbos that Ein Malchus Nagaz B'Chavata Klila K'mnei Nima. David HaMelech, when he asked the Eibishter when is he going to pass away, the Eibishter said, you pass away in Shabbos. So David HaMelech said, how about Matzah Shabbos? Just about after Malav Malka. The Eibishter said, no. So he said, how about Erev Shabbos? He said, no. Why? Every day that you sing for me in Tehillim is better for me than 1,000 fat cows that your son is going to bring on the Mizbeach. That's how precious your Tehillim is. So he said, why can't I live a little extra till Matzah Shabbos? I don't want to die on Shabbos. So the Eibishter said, that one kingdom cannot touch the other kingdom, even one as much as a heir. Shlomo HaMelech has to be king already by Matzah Shabbos. So you can't. He cast.
I thought he was still alive when
Oh, so that's the question. But here in Tanakh is a Befedish story that while he's king, he says that they should announce that Yechi HaMelech Shlomo, and they should anoint him. So he was king in his father's life. And Chazal tell us, Dabar Echad Lador v'Shnoi Shnei Daborim Lador. You can only have one leader for the generation. You can't have 2 leaders. So what's the pshat? How is it that Shlomo HaMelech could be king in the life of his father, David HaMelech.
We've spoken about also about the Rabbi and as show that Rabbi Rashi they have at the same time another Rabbi Rashi cannot
Yeah,
be.
the Rebbe didn't like this thing for 10 years and make
10
elections.
years,
The Rebbe said it should be right. So the Rebbe says, it's Adova Poshut, that the answer is like this. Poshut. It's not the pshat that here, Shlomo, when they announced, Melech Shlomo, it's not that he's now a king. The pshat is that now he is in this, he was a shliach of his father. This is all an extension of the malchus of his father. Because that's what David HaMelech said should be done. It's like a person sends a shliach to Mekadesh Isha. So the Mishaleach that becomes the wife of the Mishaleach, not the shliach. The shliach is only a hand of the Mishaleach. The same thing here. David HaMelech wants that they should scream out Yechi HaMelech Shloimeh. But it's all because that was a request of David HaMelech. It's only he's there as a shliach of David HaMelech. It wasn't a separate malchus. Here, the Rebbe Rashab sent his son as a shlichus. It was, even though it was his thing, it was his issue, but he empowered his son ad kedei mesiras nefesh. This is something that the Rebbe says that when you see that the Frierdiker Rebbe sent shluchim in places, Rachmana litzlan, they were caught and they were killed. Next day, the Frierdiker Rebbe sent more shluchim. It wasn't the pshat that he was just sending. He was himself, because he felt that he is going there. He was willing to go mesiras nefesh, and he sent the people that were close to him on mesiras nefesh. So here for the Rebbe Rashab sent his son, and it was as if he went himself. It wasn't a separate entity. It was his son. That was his shliach. There was a shliach. There was a in Lubavitch. There was a famous fundraiser, Rabbi Weinberg. He used to go collect money for Lubavitch Yeshiva. He used to travel around the world. He used to do many shlichusim for the Rebbe. So there was a Yid in Brazil. They told him that he was a wealthy Jew and that he's a big Baal Chesed. So he befriended this Yid. Every time he used to come to Brazil, he used to visit this person in his home, and this person would give him very nice contribution for the Lubavitch Yeshiva. Nebuch. This guy got involved in gambling, and that's a sickness. So he thought it was, he made apparently a little bit money he made, but then he lost, and then but he couldn't stop himself. So he gambled more and he mortgaged his house and his business. He lost everything. From being a choshev in one of the wealthy Brazilian Yidden, he went to Pashat, moving out of his house. He lost his house, he lost his business, lost everything. Next time Rabbi Weinberg came to Brazil and he knows the address, he knocks on the door, someone else opens the door, he says, where's Sammy? Where's the Balabayas? He says, I bought the house, he's not here. You know where he lives? He gave him the address. So he comes to, he sees right away the neighborhood. This is not, very wealthy neighborhood. And he knocks on the door, and Nebuch the Yid opens up the door. He tells him the story. He doesn't have a penny in a pocket. Rabbi Weinberg felt so bad. So he asked him for his name, his mother's name. Right when he came back to New York, he had first Yechidus. The first thing he told the Rebbe is a story about this Yid that was a major contributor to the Lubavitch Yeshiva. And Nebuch, I heard it, he lost everything. His business and his house included. So the Rebbe pulled out a $20 bill, and the Rebbe said, bring it to this Yid, bring it to him, and tell him I'd like to be a partner with him in his business. And he should, he'll be matzliach. So Rabbi Weinberg, next time he's in Brazil, he comes to this Yid, he brings him the $20 bill. So the Rebbe said that you should go back into business, and the Rebbe wants to be your partner in the business. Nebuch, the Yid, was so dejected, he sort of lost faith in himself, in his ability to run a business. He said, nah, I'm not. Give back the money to the Lubavitch Rebbe. Weinberg said, the Rebbe's giving you a bracha. Yeah, was Nebuch like so schlagen. He said, nah. Okay, Rabbi Weinberg took the money and he left. And he came back to New York. He gave back the money to the mosquitoes. A couple of years later, this fellow Nebuch ended up somewhere in Europe. And he told the shliach the story. And he was actually looking to try to rehabilitate, to try to bring together his life again. The shliach said, the Rebbe told you he'll be your partner in business. The Rebbe gave you $20, he sent it back. He says, yeah, maybe I can get again that $20. Shliach felt really bad for him. Shliach wrote a letter to the mosquitoes and asking the Rebbe for this fellow, for if he can get the Rebbe give back the $20. Didn't get an answer. So next time the shliach was in New York, he went to the mosquitoes, to Rabbi Klein, or Benjamin Klein. So what's going on? He said, I'm sorry, I put the letter on the top of the pile, and every time I keep on putting it on the top of the pile, I can't force the Rebbe to answer. The Rebbe's not answering, he's not answering. So the shliach said, he understood that, sometimes there's an eis rotzen, the gates are open. Sometimes the gates are open. And when the gates are open, you got to go in. So when the Rebbe gives us a shlichus, the Rebbe said that ich getan alles was ich kann, tut alles was ihr könnt zu bringen Mashiach Tzidkenu. It's not chas v'sholom. The Rebbe is saying, okay, it's over. Verkehrt. The Rebbe is saying that I'm giving you a shlichus, and I'm giving you the koyach. I'm empowering you, just like the Rebbe Rashab with his son. He said, I'm sending you on a shlichus. You should do until Mesidas Nefesh. The Rebbe gives us a shlichus, and the shlichus is to go out in this world and to mekarev another yid and another yid, and to have full faith that we're going to be matzliach, and that it's this hold on. And there's one more thing that we're going to do, and another pula, and another period film to a yid that never put on film, another kakafta lomanach tefillah on ourselves, another davening with a geschmack, and Mashiach is here. The Rebbe is giving us the shlichus. We shouldn't take it lightly. We shouldn't send back the $20 bill. When the Rebbe says that we're his partners and we are his shluchim, and he's empowering us to be his shluchim, we should take that $20. We should put it into the business. The Rebbe says that tut altos again, do everything you could. That means we have the koyach. We have the koyach to do the makah b'patish. In Hilchas Shabbos there is one of malachim which is called makah b'patish, right?
Finishing the job.
That's it. Finish the job. One knack. It's a makah b'patish. We have to know that it's in our koyach to be the makah b'patish. Yud Beis and Yud Gimel Tamuz is Geula, and the Gemara says Shem Geula Chada. All Geulas are connected. All the Geulas, every year that has a Geula, especially a Tzaddik, so it has a Geula, this is a Yom Zakai. So we have to say L'chaim, L'chaim, and make a Achlota Toiva, and this Yud Beis Tamuz, that we're going to take the koyach that the Rebbe gives to all the people in this generation with his Goydel of Avos Yisrael, that he wants that we should be a Shluchim, and we should take the shlichus upon ourselves, and we should be zoichet to make that kamaka b'patush of Golas, and to bring in the Gula Shlema de Mashiach Tzidkenu. L'chaim, l'chaim. Zoshel zayne Geula, Mashiach Zoshel Kumen, Zoshel zayne Geula, Zoshel zayne Geula, Mashiach Zoshel Kumen, ay, 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 ay. Mashiach Hashem Kol Menai. I don't you thank you, just tell me, the hero is the Mesiris Arotz.
Besides that, besides the story over there.
Actually, my father makes a Farbrengen every year, Yud Beis Tamuz. He had an incredible miracle that he spoke about this with the oil. There was once a group of Bochen, they went Parchassana, they had an incredible accident, and the cops that came afterwards, they said that it's a pella that they're alive. What happened was, before the accident, the Rebbe called Rabbi Chadakov, and he said that the Rebbe gave him a whole bunch of things, that they should print a kuntres on the Friede Alter Rebbe said that after a fire you become rich. What happened was the fire, the car got hit by this huge tractor trailer, and it went spinning in the air, and and it went on fire. There were a few bochum were trapped inside. They opened the door. They were burning. And Baruch Hashem, there's some light scratches. You know, there's a shliach in Seattle. You see Rabbi Levit. You see his ears like burnt, the bottom of his ear. That was from that. But before it happened, the Rebbe called him Rabbi Chadakov, and in the morning when Rabbi Chadakov came to tell the Rebbe that what happened, the Rebbe said, "Oh, so give the Bochum the kuntres that I asked you to print about the Nochas Reif Merayich." The Rebbe said that, "Oh, now we know why the kuntres was printed. Now we know why the kuntres was right." So the Rebbe, before the accident happened, the Rebbe called him in, asked him to print this thing about Sreif. Every year my father makes a Farbrengen, all the original guys on the car, come together every year, yeah, and they tell over the story. It was Yud Beis Tamuz. Huh? Yeah, Rabbi Kaplan Chatzvas was one of them. Huh? Yeah, my father's got out nothing, but the others Taka got a little burnt here and there.
What day?
Yud Beis Tamuz. So every year they have Farbrengen. Rabbi Majeski from Yochanan, he was also one of the. So there's a neighbor also, Rabbi Label Baumgarten. We should have him here once. I got Vorcha to come to Farbrengen.
My neighbor.
Oh, he's a terrific fellow. Besides a terrific chazan, but he's unbelievable. So he said that he had a bar mitzvah for his son. He's a good chaver to Rabbi Goldwasser. Shul around there. So Rabbi Goldwasser, the Tzelt Azamaisa, that there was a woman who was an aguna. She was for already 8 years an aguna. And what's a ton? Nothing. So it was once late at night, she comes knocking at the door. And she was crying. What happened? She had a good friend. She was also an aguna. That woman, that day, she got a get. She got a get. So now it was like, here she had ochas letzora. She had like a sister. And now her good friend that she would commiserate with all the time, she just got a get. And her husband, McKenna Filinish Gefin, they can't find him. Never. He vanished. Can't find him. 8 years in Aguna. So it was late at night. He said he was tired. He did. What can you tell her? What can you tell a woman? He said, I heard there's a lot of the miracles that happen by the Lubavitch Rebbe seeing at the oil. Why don't you take a minyan of people and daven at the oil, ask the Rebbe for a bracha? I don't know. Eingefallen to Rabbi Goldwasser, so the woman took it seriously. She got a minyan of people that came with her, and she took a daven the most sholish. When she left the oil in the car on the way back, someone called her. They found her husband. That week she got a get. So,
where was it? Where was it?
Yes, I
Going to Marsov.
Mela, we have Gimel Tamuz and Yud Beis Tamuz. What's the difference between Gimel Tamuz and Yud Beis Tamuz? If you look at the Maimer Vata Tetzava, the main question of the Maimer, main question at the end of the Maimer, the Rebbe doesn't answer. He just says the answer in Avodas Hashem. I don't want to go back into the whole Maimer, but the Rebbe answers in Avodas Hashem. Why? Because it's Negei and Avodas Hashem is Negei. The rest is not so Negei always. Mashiach will come and understand the answer in our scholar. But the Rebbe answers in the The whole big question about the Tetzava at the end is, so in Avodas Hashem, what's the answer? But the Rebbe doesn't answer what's the gain of Avodas Hashem. So what's the gain of Avodas Hashem to us to know? Gimel Tamuz, everyone's the biggest oidus. Ata Tetzava. Ata Tetzava. Like the story of the Alter Rebbe that one of his friends saying about his Talmud, that he has a Talmud that when he davens his Gili Eliyod, that the Alter Rebbe said, he's not davening your Talmud, you're davening. You're davening in your Talmud. You're davening. You're davening, not he's davening. You're davening. There's Ata Tetzava. Ata Tetzava means that Moshe Rabbeinu, Ata, Moshe Rabbeinu, the question of mine is, should say, it always says Tzavas Bnei Yisrael. What's Ata Tetzava? The Rebbe answers that Tetzava means Tzavtza v'chibah, to connect. The Ata Tetzava, the job of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe B'chalor v'dora, the Moshe in every day is to connect the Yidden to Eid Ein Sof. And through that, v'yikchei lecho, that the Yidden pick up Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe Rabbeinu connects the Yidden to the Eibishter, the Yidden pick up Moshe Rabbeinu. And the end of the Maimah, the Rebbe says, what does that mean, Avodas Hashem? There is what Moshe Rabbeinu could do for us, but then we have to do on our own. The Moshe Rabbeinu could bring us to the water, but he can't make us drink. Kipshutai. Moshe Rabbeinu could connect us to Eid Ein Sof, but that connection should be strong and deep, in the deepest way, that our etzam and neshama should shine through all the koiches hagiluyim, that we shouldn't be in any way incongruent, that our neshama, what our neshama desires, and what makes our neshama content, and what makes our neshama tick, should shine through every part of our life. Moshe Rabbeinu can't do it. We have to do that. We have to do it. Moshe Rabbeinu can't do it. It's like the first Maimah that Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, "Leitzach nish kein feigel achem buzim." You know what the feigel achem buzim is? I don't know. I guess if the plane ticket is really expensive, you try to get feigelach, put one in this pocket and one in the other pocket, and see if you can start flying in the air. And if you start flying, that will be called feigelach and buzim. So maybe after a few lechaims. So put a few fegelach here, a few fegelach there, and then you start flying. The Rebbe said, "Leitzach nish kein fegelach im buzim." The Rebbe explained what he meant. That the Chassidim in Poland said, "Tzadik v'menosa yichal tigichel yichaya." That when you're connected to the tzaddik, you're live, because the tzaddik connects to the Eibishter. But the Alter Rebbe said that it's not that way. That every Yid has to work in his own avodas Hashem. That's like the difference of Ata Tetzava and Yichvei Lecha. In other words, they're both true. That when a Yid goes to a tzaddik and connects to a tzaddik, the tzaddik helps us to connect to Eid Ein Sof. That's what the job of Moshe Rabbeinu is. But Moshe Rabbeinu cannot make that our neshama should shine through in every detail in our life. That we have to do. V'yikrei lecha Shem and Zayis Zoch. In order that Shem and Zayis Zoch should shine in everything in our neshama, which is Shem and Zayis Zoch, has to be that v'yikrei lecha. We, the Yidden, have to do it. So on Gimel Tamuz, every once there's the Ata Tetzav is very strong. We feel the biggest oidus. The question is, what happens the rest of the summer? Are we going on vacation? Vacation is not a bad thing. Vacation is only a bad thing if it's Melosh vacations. It's to vacate ourselves. But if it's to be mechazik ourselves to avodas Hashem, that's coming up in Chodesh Elul and Tishrei. It's in order to strengthen ourselves. Yotzaguf body is Darkei Hashem, like the Rambam says in Chesdeis, that it's to serve Hashem, to exercise and to be healthy. We're not talking about that. That's a good thing. But not chas v'sholom that we're walking away from avodas Hashem. We're taking a break from avodas Hashem, because avodas Hashem is kehem chayenu. This is our oxygen. A person will say, "I had so much oxygen today. I need to take a break from taking an oxygen." A person can't say that. A person could say it, but it's not true. Faket, if you want to be more alive, you need more oxygen, not less. So, and when it comes Gimel Tamuz, every Yid has some isodus. We go to the oil and we feel something very strong. But it comes Yud Beis Tamuz. It's also the Yud Gimel Tamuz is a big day, and Yud Beis Tamuz. But Yud Beis Tamuz is V'yikhei Lecha. We have to take this odorous of Gimel Tamuz and bring it into the entire summer. When it comes already Chof Av, Elul, we should be into it, because we worked all summer. We took V'yikhei Lecha. Now is the time. This Farbrengen tonight is the time of V'yikhei Lecha. Last week Gimel Tamuz, when we went to the oil, how could you not be besotedus? Impossible. Moshe in every generation connects us to Oyrei Tzoyv. We see with clarity there's a Rabbani Shalom of the Welt, and the Rabbani Shalom is Emes, and there's a Lakus, Pshitus, Olam is Bischachus. The Eivish is true, and the world is also here. But now, Yud Beis Tamuz, this Farbrengen is V'yikhei Lecha. That we have to make Achlota Toiva, to spend the summer, to Chubikehem Chayenu, that this should become our oxygen, V'oirech Yameinu. L'chaim, l'chaim, should be Matzliach, and making this Chag HaGeula, not only a Geula for the Frierdiker Rebbe, it should be our Geula. Our Geula, Protes Navodas Hashem, and a Geula for Klal Yisrael, Be'biz Mashiach Tzedkeinu. L'chaim, l'chaim. This Farbrengen, Rabbi Majeski, who was Rosh Yeshiva of Yochanan, so he said there was once a student that would bring in papers for his professor. He was an atheist, the professor, but he was Jewish. And he comes to the home of the professor and he sees that there's a mezuzah on the door. So he says, "Well, what's this? I thought you don't believe." So the professor said, "I heard that this mezuzah works even for people that don't believe." The Dafka, they tell a story about a Russian Shahid. His friend asked him to bring a note for him at the oil. And this Yid didn't have it, and his wife were married for many years, didn't have children. So when he took his friend's note to put down, he wrote in the back, he said, "I beg that I should not have a child in 9 months from today. I don't want people to say that you're a miracle maker." So then he said, "And if I have a child, don't think I'm going to attribute it to any miracles." So then he was ready to rip it up and throw it in. He said, he added another line. "If I have twins, I'll become a believer." 9 months later, he had twins.
Don't try it. It's gonna happen.
So, l'chaim, we're going into Chag of Yud Beis Gimel Tamuz. Nemesis Yud Beis Gimel Tamuz, and Gimel Tamuz is one connection. And the ikid is that we have to bring the Geula Protis, like the Rebbe said in that famous Sikha, that the most painful thing is that not only that the general Geula for Klal Yisrael is not here, but the Geula Protis, our Geula, didn't come. Our Geula didn't come. If our Geula would come, then the Geula of Klal Yisrael would also come. So l'chaim, that we should have a Geula Protis, every one of us, and the things that we need a Geula. We should have a full Geula, and not only it should be in us, the Geula should ooze out of us. It should be infectious. Even the Goyim that come in contact with us should see Kishem Hashem Nikra Alecha, just like this week's parsha, that Bilam Arasha. Finally, at the end, that Bilam says, I really only say what God tells me, that's what I'm going to say. But at the end, he says the most powerful statement. He says, Loi uchel daber me'uma esadov asher yosem oisa eshma l'daber. Whatever. Hayochel uchel daber me'uma. Hayochel uchel daber me'uma. What can I say? First he says, I say what God says. Hayochel uchel daber me'uma. I can't say anything. So when we really feel that way, the Goyim also see it, and it's our obligation, because before Mashiach comes, finally the Yidden influence the entire world, including the Goyim. So the Eibush will help from the Taka. We should have a Geula Protis and everything that we need in our Avodas Hashem. And the Eibush will help from our Geula Protis should come a Geula Klolas Begeula Mitzvahs Vashlema de Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Amen. Yishmael Kitzarim Dachon Anigin.
Sicher machen.